Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another Let's Talk Business conversation. And on this segment of the show, I am very pleased to say that we finally have professional speaker and radio talk show host Marc Stephen POOLER. And Marc's calling in all the way from sunny Birmingham in the UK. Now, Marc's taken the time out of his busy day to come and speak with us about using the power of your voice and story to grow your own business. So, if you are one of the many inspiring entrepreneurs out there and you're on the journey seeking easy to digest information to solve your business related problems, you might just want to, down tools, log out of Facebook, stop the Instagramming, the Twittering and anything else which may happen to cause a distraction. And you might even want to grab yourself a notepad and pen and get ready to take some copious notes as we listen in to what Marc has to share with us today. So, with that said, let's not keep him waiting a moment longer. Welcome to the show, Marc.
Hi, Stewart. It's great to be here, and thank you for having me.
You are so welcome, Marc. So let's just jump feet first in. A little bit of housekeeping. It goes without saying that anything you share with us today, Marc, is not any form of legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of sharing information with our listeners. So would you just care to expand on that in your own words so that everybody's clear about what we're trying to achieve today?
Today, I am going to share my business skills, knowledge and tips of how to use your voice and story to build and grow your business.
Perfect. Thanks for making that so clear, Marc. So let's talk a little bit about your company, Marc Stephen POOLER, the people who you serve, and more importantly, the kinds of situations that they find themselves in when they initially reach out to you for your help.
Yes, Stewart. I help speakers, coaches and entrepreneurs to use their voice and story to grow and build and monetize their business. I help them to move forwards and make progress fast and get results. When they first come to me, they are struggling to get their clients. Using social media is a big one. They really need help how to use their social media, how to craft presentations and having really strong presentation skills. And when they first come to me, one of the biggest things I find is helping them to find their unique message.
Okay, Marc. So this sounds like a bit of an obvious question, but what are the advantages of using the power of your own voice and story to grow your own business?
Firstly, Stewart, visibility. When you become the voice of your story, your business, and you use your voice to grow your business, it gives you massive visibility. It helps you to grow in confidence when you start using presentation skills. Also, it helps you to become the expert in your own business and in the field that you are in. You become an authority. You can sell your products and services, so you grow your revenue in your business, so it helps you to earn more money, and most importantly, you get to help others.
Okay then, Marc, thanks for sharing that. It sounds like knowing what the advantages of using the power of your voice to grow your business is something very useful. Now, with that said, what are one of the biggest myths out there when it comes to using your voice to grow your business?
One of the biggest myths, Stewart, is it's only for speakers, coaches and entrepreneurs. Most businesses can use the power of their voice and story to stand out and to grow and to expand.
So, Marc, if I was to be having a conversation with you about in a bar and I asked you, what industry do you work in? How would you answer that in a very short, 2 to 3 word sentence? What's your industry? How would you describe that?
I would say my industry is coaching, speaking, and entrepreneurship, Stuart.
Okay, so with that said then, Marc, what's one of the most common misconceptions around your industry?
A common misconception is you have to have a big tragic story and a big story of tragedy to share, to use your voice. And that's totally not true. You can use your voice and story, even sharing other people's testimonial stories. You can make stories out of the simplest things. It's just really about having a clear direction. You don't have to have a big tragic story to use and grow your business. Everybody has some expertise. Everybody is an expert in a particular subject. It's about finding your strengths, learning your business story and experience. You can also share your story of passion, things you are passionate about.
So, Marc, you've raised a very interesting point here, because even myself, I've struggled so much with this. I've gone online and listened to the experts out there. And as you already alluded to, everybody says you've got to have this big story from rags to riches. I used to live in a trailer park and now I'm a millionaire. Or, I was an abused child, or whatever the case may be. The general perception out there is you've got to have this big story. Now, you're saying no. That's not true. You just shared a few examples, but can you just expand on that? Because I'm sure somebody listening into this, possibly or most likely in the same situation as myself, where you sat there trying to come up with this big, massive story of something that happened in your life so that you can prove this transformation. So please expand on that a little bit, because this is a really interesting topic.
It's simply not true that you have to have a big story. Everybody has got a story and an important message to share. It's just about really working to find what your unique message is. It could be something as simple as your business story. How did it start? What challenges and obstacles did you face along the way? What is the end of your story? How have you transformed and how have you helped others? It's about having the right structure, Stuart, and really keying in on what your strengths are and what really you are an expert in. Everybody has got skills that they are an expert in that they can package up as a product or a service to help others. And then once you get those components right, you can use your voice and story to help grow and scale your business.
And obviously, without going into them, but I'm assuming there are strategies, systems, blueprints, etc., that you could share with the listener out there to help them to come up with that story. Am I thinking along the right lines here?
You definitely are. I have a real strong blueprint for speech structure. Mm-hmm. There's a definite way how to do a presentation. It has to have some emotion in there. You have to have some humour in there. It has to have a beginning, middle and an end. And you always have to start a speech really strong and finish a speech really strong so that people remember you. I think I've shared a few golden nuggets there with you, Stuart.
You certainly have, Marc. So I'm thinking, if I have to create, or if I'm thinking about creating my own story, that conjures up some internal fears about that, all right? You have to be prepared to be a little bit vulnerable in a sense. So with that said then, Marc, what are some of the most common fears that your clients have about using their voice to grow their business?
I'm really glad you mentioned this, Stuart. Public speaking is one of the biggest fears. Standing out and speaking to an audience, that is one of the biggest fears that are out there.
So I've heard it. I think I've read it somewhere that public speaking is is right up there as one of the most scariest things to do ever, right? It's like people would rather die than do public speaking. Did I read that correctly somewhere?
It is a very big fear. It is, and that is definitely true, Stuart.
So if that's the case, then, Marc, because we've essentially now introduced the elephant into the room, so we now need to grab him by the trunk and lead him out the room. How can they get past that fear? Can you share a simple way, a method, an example? How can you get past that fear of using your voice to grow your business and tell your story?
Okay, 2 little things I want you to remember, Stuart. Either jump in feet first or take baby steps, step by step. When I first started public speaking, I was terrified to get up and speak. I created my own event and put myself on stage with other high-profile speakers. I had never spoken on stage in public before, but I jumped in feet first and just took massive action. So you can jump in feet first and face that fear head on. But if that technique is not for you, baby steps, step by step. And I call that toe dipping. And when I first started using social media to use my voice and story to grow my business, I was scared to do videos on social media. But I posted a video and posted it straight onto Facebook and just left it there for a few minutes and took it down. And as time passed, I would do another video. And that is what I call toe dipping, where you just take mini steps. And each time you take that mini step, your confidence grows and you get more confident. For instance, you could talk to a group of 2 people to start with, then the next time to talk to a slightly bigger crowd, and then a slightly bigger crowd. And that is what I call toe dipping. You take baby steps towards your end destination. If you are prepared, practiced, following practice comes the presentation. It's all about taking mini steps towards your end destination. So either try jumping in feet first, facing those fears head on, or toe dip, take baby steps. And as long as you're practiced, prepared, you can do the presentation. And I call that the 3 Ps.
It's really interesting, the concept of taking baby steps. 'Cause I know I've gone through that process myself and still use that to this day. And you mentioned uploading videos to Facebook or YouTube or whatever the platform may be, and then taking them down. That's still something that I do today, because I'm sure I'm one of hundreds of thousands of people out there who have this perfection thing, right? And put it out there and you look at it, you go, oh no, why did I say that? Oh, look at my shirt. What do you say to somebody who's actually just created something, they put it out there, and then they turn into their biggest critic and essentially take away the opportunity for somebody to learn from them by focusing on perfection? What do you have to say about that then, Marc?
I think we're all our own biggest judges. It's so easy to pick faults with your own work. If you wait for perfection, nothing ever gets done. Just take mini steps every day towards your end destination. Have goals, have dreams, know where you're working towards, and try not to judge what you're doing, because it's so easy to be your own biggest critic. Just do the work, take action, and don't wait for perfection, because nothing will ever get done. Just take action and small steps towards your end goal.
So if perfection is something which can hold us back from, just getting our stuff out there, what's one other perceived obstacle that you often come across that might be preventing entrepreneurs from seeking the help of a professional speaker coach like yourself?
Confidence is one of the biggest obstacles. People sometimes feel they haven't got a strong enough message. If you are doing training, working with the right people to help you along your journey, they will help you to craft a message what is right for your brand, your business, and for your message so that you can stand out in the marketplace. You don't have to have that tragedy story. It's simply not true. Most people, they feel that they are not going to be good at public speaking because of those fears to do with self-confidence. But if you work with the right people, they will help you to grow that confidence muscle. They'll make sure you're practice prepared so you're ready to go out and to deliver your message and create great presentations.
So, Marc, we've been talking for a little while and you've shared some great insights so far. Could you possibly share an example that really sums up how you've been able to help entrepreneurs to succeed in getting the transformation that they were looking for when they first sought out your professional guidance?
Firstly, Stewart, I absolutely love helping people, and that's what gives me satisfaction. That's why I do what I do. And when I start working with my clients, there's nothing better than digging deep and helping them to find their message, helping them to practice their presentation, learning them really strong presentation skills and really getting strong and skilled at the craft of public speaking. I help them to design their speech, and I've had the satisfaction of taking one of my clients through my coaching program, and my client is about to speak on stage with Jack Canfield. Nothing gives me more satisfaction than seeing a client I have taken through my course to become a public speaker, to be sharing a stage with such a big legend, Jack Canfield. That is really a great testimony to me, and that really gives me great pride.
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is professional speaker and radio talk show host Marc Stephen POOLER, and his topic for today is using the power of your voice and story to grow your business. Now, with that in mind, Marc, and for those entrepreneurs listening in right now, what's the most common pitfall or even mistake that they should be mindful of, no matter what kind of situation that they currently find themselves in?
I think sometimes people in the industry that I am in, they think things are going to happen overnight, and that's simply not true. People sometimes give up just before they're about to really make a success of their business. It's all about consistency. Things don't happen overnight. Not taking enough action and doing the required steps to move forwards. Consistency. You have to take massive action. It doesn't happen overnight.
So if thinking it's going to happen overnight, they're going to become an overnight success, is a common pitfall or a mistake, how can that be avoided then, Marc? What should entrepreneurs out there do?
I think personally, entrepreneurs should definitely invest in their own personal development, train, never stop learning and growing, invest in yourself, invest in your future, learn the craft, constantly evolve, constantly work on yourself. Don't wait to be perfect. Touch your business every day. Little daily steps consistently over time will take you around the world and back.
So, Marc, I'm sure people listening in right now would like to know a little bit about your backstory. So please spend a few moments just sharing with us what was it that inspired you or led you even to becoming the professional speaker and radio talk show host that you are today, because it's never just a straight path to get to where you are today. I'm sure you just didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a professional speaker and radio talk show host. No, it's always a winding path. So how did that happen? What led you to become what you are today then, Marc?
Stuart, my journey has been a real roller coaster.
Exactly.
At the age of 30, I had had enough of working for big leading brand hair salons, and I left a paid job with a mortgage to follow my dream to become an entrepreneur. I set up in business as a freelance hairstylist. A year into my business, I started network marketing, and I built a really successful network marketing business. I built a team of 50, recruited into 6 different countries, but I wasn't following my true passion and my true purpose. I used to watch the speakers at the network marketing events sharing their story. And I thought, I want to be a speaker. I want to be on the stage sharing my story. And I knew I had an important story, a message to share. All through my school years, I was bullied for the way I looked and about my sexuality before I knew it myself. And my late teens and early 20s, I was a drug addict. I got addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. And I collapsed and I died from drug use. My heart flatlined. I woke up in a hospital with bruises all up my arms where adrenaline had been pumped into me. My chest had been shaven where shot pads had been used on me to bring me back to life. And I slowly started to rebuild my life after that happened to me. So I was watching all the speakers on stage sharing their inspirational stories, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. And again, I changed direction. I left network marketing 2 years ago and jumped in to the deep end to become a speaker. Within that time, I've become a published author, a professional speaker. I've spoken all over the UK. I'm appearing on radio, on television. I've built a successful public speaking coaching business, and now I am a radio host, talk show host, which I'm really excited about too. And it just goes to show, Stuart, if I can use my voice and my story to grow and scale my business and achieve all that I have achieved, anybody can do it.
So thanks for sharing that with us, Marc. It's a very interesting topic and actually a good segue into what I'd like to just do right now, because in listening to you, I was just thinking about earlier on when I asked you, what's one of the biggest misconceptions that you come across? And you said that you have to have a big story. Everybody thinks they have to have a massive story to grow their business. Now, listening to the story that you just shared about yourself, would you be open to me just playing devil's advocate just for a moment?
You certainly can, Stuart. I was kind of expecting that.
Okay, so I'm sure you've come across this before. Because, the story that you just shared is essentially a massive story. All these things, what happened to you. However, it's the reality. It's your truth, right? So my question to you then is, regardless of what you said before, that you do not have to have a big story, but if you do have a big story, you can still use that, right? So am I right in thinking that it works either way? You don't have to have a big story and it can still work. But if you do have a big story, then yeah, go ahead and use that. Am I on the right tracks there, Marc?
I think you are kind of on the right track.
Okay.
But that is just my story. Yes, it is a big story. Mm-hmm. But let me give you an example, Stuart.
Please go ahead.
Someone could have just taken on 10 new clients in their business. Mm. You could then go on to make that into your success story and use that as your story. You could have had a really great promotion that could become your unique story of what you share your expertise on. And your story would be based around the promotion that you were given that led to success. There's a story in every single person's life. That is my point.
Mm.
Never feel that your story is not relevant. When someone is working with you and you share your story with them, they can pick out the bits what you can work, your brand story, your business story, or your personal story. Everybody has got a story. It doesn't have to be a big story and tragedy. Yes, my story has got tragedy in there, but we can pick out parts of your business story, your brand story. Everybody has got an important message to share.
Perfect. I just wanted to, get some clarity around that, because I know from my own perspective that when I've heard these big stories and I was trying to come up with my story, I felt a little bit intimidated. I didn't have from the deathbed story back to life and then making millions. So I just wanted to do that for the listeners out there, so they're absolutely clear that no matter what situation they are in, there is a story there that can be used. So thanks for making that very clear then, Marc. Okay, so that said then, Marc, when you think about all of the clients that you've helped to achieve the transformation that they were looking for, and I'm talking about all the clients you've helped throughout your career, whether it was public speaking or anything else that you've done, on a deep down personal level, Marc, what does it actually give you, and how, what do you get from that? How does it make you feel?
I love helping people. It just gives me so much satisfaction watching others succeed. I know how hard the journey is in the beginning when you are an aspiring speaker, or if you are an established speaker that feels stuck. And the way I help people to move forwards, find their direction, find their message, and then for them to go out and get results, nothing gives me more satisfaction than helping others, Stewart.
Mm. So, of course, you need to make money to pay the bills, live the kind of lifestyle that you love to live. Well, my question is, it's much more than money for you then, right?
It's much more than money for me, Stewart. The beginning of my business, I spoke a lot for free. I help people for free. I really learn my craft. I really give service to people, and the money come later. But I really feel that once you have got a service and you serve people, money just comes part of that. But it's certainly not about the money for me. It's more about helping others, and it will always be that way.
So, Marc, we're coming towards the end of the show. So before we close out with our last question for today, what's the most important thing that entrepreneurs out there should consider when evaluating a professional speaker coach like yourself? What is it? What should they be thinking about?
I would say, has that person achieved what you would like to achieve? Is that person a few steps ahead of where you are? And do you resonate with that person? Do you feel you could build a long-lasting relationship with that person? It's important to know that person has achieved what you want to achieve, and they are a few steps ahead of where you want to get to.
So, Marc, again, you shared some great insights today. So if there's somebody out there who feels they want to know more about using the power of their own voice and story to grow their business, what would be the best way to get in touch with you? That's one. And two, what will happen when they do? And what I mean by that is I'd just like you to paint the picture so that they know there's no risk to actually reach out and ask you questions. They know that you're not going to try and sell them everything out under the sun, hit them over the head with a Fred Flintstone club, pull them to the back of the office and take all their money away. So if you could just do that, tell them how to get in touch with you and what will happen when they do, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Stewart. Perfect. People can go to www.marcstephenpooler.com. The Stephen is with a PH. That's www.marcstephenpooler.com. All my links to social media are there. they can actually press, yes, I want to move forwards. They've got the option to join my Facebook community group. They can look at interviews that I've done, or they can send me a message where I can reply and have a simple conversation over Messenger with them. Or they can go to the button what says book a free call with Marc, and we'll have an half an hour free consultation where it's literally just us getting to know each other to see if we're a match for each other, Stewart.
Fantastic. So when they do reach out to you, then Marc, what's the next step? What will happen when they make that initial outreach, that effort to contact you? What happens then?
I like to get to know people, Stewart, so I would ask them how they are, where they are in the world, what they do for a living. I'm all about building relationships and getting to know the person I'm talking to. When I get on a call with them, it's just a friendly chat, no pressure. And then if I feel I can help that person, then we would take things further and talk about products and services of how I may be able to possibly help them to move forwards within public speaking.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Marc. People always want to know, what's the next step. So I think you've explained that quite eloquently. And that has actually brought us to the end of the show. That's all we have time for today. So let me just remind everybody again that we have been listening to professional speaker and radio talk show host Marc Stephen POOLER, Stephen with a PH, don't forget that. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Marc. You have certainly demonstrated that you are a true educator and advocate for your clients' success. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Stewart. I've enjoyed being on your show today.
You are so welcome, my friend. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, our listener. Without you, we wouldn't have anybody to speak to and we'd be sat here twiddling our little thumbs. So thank you again for taking the time out of your busy day. Not only Marc's busy or myself, but you too. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and for joining us on what I can only describe as a very insightful and informative discussion with one of the top professional speaker coaches in the Birmingham area today. Even though he's in the UK, he works on an international basis. Again, his name is Marc Stephen POOLER. Make sure you do check him out. Visit his website. There are some great resources on there. Whatever you do decide to do, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that after listening to Marc today for a short while, that you are going to be in the right place to get started with your public speaking. So that's it for today, folks. Again, my name is Stewart Andrew Alexander. I'm a long-distant relative of the British royal family, but they don't tell anybody about it. Can you imagine that, Marc? My goodness. They don't tell anyone.
That's amazing.
It's a shame. It's a shame. But, that's a topic for another day. But anyway, we'll be back shortly with some more top business professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Business Conversations. So, until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.